God is good. I think one songwriter put it this way: I just can't give up now. We've come too far from where we've started from. Nobody told us that the road would be easy. And I don't believe that God has brought us this far to leave us. FNMs. Tonight we join hearts, minds, and hands to rebuild this country and reconnect with the Bahamian people. Many of us have some disappointments, even some anger, as a result of September 16. But the songwriter gives us pause to consider that God will not leave us in the state that many of us are in tonight. That there is, in fact, redemption ahead. But it really means that we have to decide that it's all hands on deck. All of us putting our hearts, our minds, and our hands together to first transform our party and next to transform the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. It's good to be here with you tonight. So be not dismayed. We are part of an organization that has had a storied past. Those that could have stayed with the creature comforts of being in a government shortly after winning, but made a determination that the values they held were different, and they were prepared to take a risk and strike out on their own. We were in the wilderness for a long time, and then came deliverance. The truth is, in politics, it is a mountaintop and sometimes a valley experience. But the God that brought us in the past will, in fact, deliver us again. I wish tonight to thank Prime Ministers Ingram and Minnis for the confidence that they had reposed in me, in both cases appointing me to the Senate, in both cases allowing me to be the standard bearer of our party in various constituencies. I'm grateful for their support. I also wish to thank the freedom fighters, some of whom are here tonight, our meritorious council members, those persons on whose shoulders you and I stand, persons who have toiled while we were in the wilderness when it was unpopular to be an F&M, persons who have faced fierce criticism, many times from without, but let's be real, sometimes even from within. Persons whose contributions have often not been recognized despite personal sacrifice of resources of time. But yet, they have stayed the course. To you, I want to say on behalf of a grateful party and a grateful country, thank you. I want to say to the Marco City team, Kendall just showed me the picture of the watch party in Grand Bahama. I want you to know we love you more than cook food. A team that after Matthew, despite their own personal discomfort, continued to work for the residents of Grand Bahama. Our offices are open 6 days a week, and when necessary, open on Sunday. It is because of this Marco City team that we were able to establish one of the largest feeding programs in the country, certainly the largest continuous hurricane relief program. Working with Bahamians out of Florida, we established an appliance replacement program. Right now, we are building a tech hub, a place where young people and not so young people can be trained in various areas of technology. And we expect over the course of the next several months, as we complete it, we'll have a radio station and television station and recording studio in Marco City to serve the residents of Grand Bahama. We continue to conduct business workshops to empower our young people, and we take our seniors seriously. That's why we have dedicated vehicles that can assist them in ground transportation when they need it, why we host them every year, why we try to be there for them. This team, I am so grateful for their sacrifice. After Dorian, they spent 7 days a week up until December when we asked them to go home, trying to serve the needs of our residents. Several of the members formed a care team and offered to cook at repasts for a number of residents, or at a minimum to contribute for each funeral that we become aware of. We believe that at the lowest point in our people's lives, we ought to be there with them. We are there with them in the joyous moments, and we should be with them as they grieve. And our hearts go out to so many Bahamians who are right now hurting because of really an unprecedented number of deaths in our country. I also want to say thank you to my mother, Sister Laura Benson, this powerful Cat Island woman who married a San Salvador man. I want to thank Mommy for a godly example, for untiring love. I was not a nice child. For loving all of her children unconditionally. And despite her personal hardships, we moved a lot. Sometimes the bus driver on Sunday would ask, where we taking you to next? But despite all of that, she demonstrated an unprecedented love for all of her children. And I want to thank her for that unconditional love and to say to her that, Mommy, I love you from the bottom of my heart. I want to say thank you to my wife, Burleys, and my daughter, Michaela. It's a difficult life for families who are attached to public figures. My daughter said to me, sitting in the kitchen just before the election, that, Daddy, I hope that you lose this election so that you could be home with us more. Now, I'm not that superstitious, but I must tell you I was worried. It is an incredible sacrifice. And so I want to say to Burleys and to Michaela, I love you dearly, and I look forward sometime very soon, you and my little darling walking with the rest of our supporters into the F&M headquarters to submit nominations paper for me running for leader of the Free National Movement. You and I know that Bahamians are exceptionally gifted people. We are as talented as anyone else, anywhere else in the world. Our talents have been on display for many years. We have built up a record of excellence in tourism. We became known as one of the destinations for financial services. And all of us witnessed just recently a repeat of something we've been doing for decades, and that is dominating on the world scene in athletics. We've had songs that have topped the charts around the world, gifted cultural artists on the big screen, the small screen, on stages. We are as talented as anyone else, anywhere else in the world. But leadership is only ours for as long as we are prepared to earn it. In the case of tourism, we've gone through the misfortune of trading away our best talents in tourism to train others who now, in some cases, outcompete us. We gave away our competitive advantage. But for all that we have accomplished as a country, and for the greatest temptation we often feel, that is to continually pat ourselves on the back, we know that in paradise we still have some challenges. There are some complex and stubborn and vexing problems that we face as a country. And the truth of the matter is, our population is growing restless. They have politician fatigue. They are impatient with stubborn problems reoccurring every election. And they're quite tired of the pre-election promises that seem not to be realized cycle after cycle. And so unfortunately in our country, we had an election at a time where cynicism had become deep, pessimism among our people, a restlessness, and I must say a righteous restlessness. Because some of the challenges that we face, time has passed for us to solve as a country. We are faced with young people absolutely brilliant, traveling all around the world and at the top of their class. We have athletes who are doing incredible things overseas as collegiate athletes, as high school athletes. The sad reality we face is that many of them have made a determination that there isn't sufficient incentive for them to return home. And many of our patriots, many of those who are a part of the Bahamian Revolution, who could see no other place to live but home, are becoming wary, trying to convince children and grandchildren that there is, in fact, major opportunities for them to return to the Bahamas. It's becoming a difficult sell for many of them. We encourage them tonight, be not weary of well-doing. In due season, they and you will receive your just reward. But tonight, we have an opportunity to renew our commitment, to rededicate ourselves to our people. The Free National Movement needs leadership that will demonstrate humility and a quiet, firm resolve that we will work tirelessly on behalf of the Bahamian people to improve their lives. I ask you tonight to join me in us creating an environment in this organization where persons who would have left 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago can see a place under our tent to return home. I'm asking you to join me as we create a movement where we are not fatigued. People often wonder, how is it that some of our freedom fighters, 70 years old, 80 years old, some in their 60s still seem vibrant and energetic? It's in large measure because there is a passion in our heart to transform lives in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. It is this spirit that we need to be imbued in the young and not so young in our organization. And so tonight, I'm offering myself. I'm asking you to take this journey with me. Our people want leadership that has a sense of urgency. The truth of the matter is, many of us who you have put on your shoulders and delivered us to the Senate, delivered us to the Parliament, delivered us on boards, delivered us at the front of the queue for contracts. Many of you who have put us on your shoulder still struggle unnecessarily because sometimes we have not acted with the sense of urgency that is required. And so tonight, my heart goes out to the many public servants who, because they face the prospect of one group of Bahamians who now lead, determining that because they may have been hired in the last 4.5 years, it says something about their politics and is releasing them to the market. My heart goes out to them. For those that are anxiety-stricken, wondering if tomorrow or next week is the week or the day. For those that have signed contracts, having gone through the lawful process to obtain them, to not only have them paused, but canceled. We need a sense of urgency. So never again we leave our people unprotected when we make determinations. We need a sense of urgency. When Bahamians of all colors apply for leased land that we take an inordinate amount of time of making a determination on a matter so simple that when there is a viable industrial or agricultural project, it is important for us to move with a sense of urgency. Yes, sometimes there may be a mistake made. You may discover something about the entrepreneur later, but it is better if we err on the side of delivering results for people than err on the side of leaving dreams unrealized because we don't move at all. How many Bahamians have passed the 20-year period, past 21 years, and still wait for Crown grants? The time has come in our country where we do not need a single person making a determination about Crown grants. We can have public servants who are properly vetted, who understand the implications of acting unethically, and let them make decisions so that we can move with a sense of urgency to help our people. How long have we promised to resolve the issue of commonage land and generation property? To stop those who have plenty lawyers and plenty money and obviously plenty time to take land from struggling people who cannot fight the good fight. We need to act with a sense of urgency. We have to determine that we are going to improve the living conditions of Bahamians. Think about it for a moment. Every administration since the father of our country led the Progressive Liberal Party, we have talked about the transformation of over the hill. We've cleared properties only to have the rainy season come and the properties then grow up again. So the same usual persons with heavy equipment continue to get paid, rather than the person who could mulch some trees and create wood chip to keep the weed down, or the landscaper who could landscape the property and create a green space, or the farmer, the urban farmer, who could take those properties that have been cleared and create community gardens. We have to change it. How many of us have been to ceremonies where one house has been transformed? It used to be 600 square feet, and now a politician comes in, and thank God that family has gotten help, but we made it maybe 1,000 square feet. And we take our children out of school and we assemble them for the ceremony, and some of them play instruments. And we bring 4 ministers, intersecting ministries, so that we can preside over what a great thing we have done. But in that same corner where we changed that one house, okay, maybe 2, let's give it 3. In that same corner, there are 15, 20, 30 houses just like that one house that are left unkept, still challenged. The human condition no better than before we arrive. So if we're serious about transforming the over the hill, transforming our country, creating living conditions that are suitable, we've got to decide that this is bigger than any single organization, that we have to partner with faith-based organizations, with the private sector. We have to partner with local and international NGOs, people who are in this business full time. It is unacceptable. And I feel the pain of Bahamians who continue to give us a chance when they still have outside toilets. And we know many of the landlords who are collecting rent on the properties where that is the reality. We have an obligation, and I dedicate myself to fighting to ensure that every home has potable water. This doesn't need to be a 15, 20-year plan. 5 years with a determined Bahamas, with the resources we have, the talent that we have, we should be able to end outside toilets, put potable water in homes, ensure that people have access, they can make the choice of connecting or not connecting to electricity, whether by some renewable source or on the grid. We have got to raise the standard. Tonight, I sign up to defend and to fight for any of you that are victimized by the handful, and I'm hoping it is only a handful, of those that have been elected and have not gotten the memo that we finish with this business of discontinuing things that are working in government just because a new group take over, and putting Bahamians on the street who deserve to work and feed their family like any and everyone else. We have to get ready, because here's the mistake that's being made. That because in their haste, some have come in, and I really didn't expect it. It's just too much talent I've seen in the new administration, too many young people full of promise. So I didn't expect that some would come in and release folks so quickly who were duly hired. And they don't even know the politics. They just assume. And sometimes, in this politics, in this political tribalism, you release a gentleman because you think, or maybe he is red, only to find out that his wife and all of his children happen to have been your supporters. Maybe you go in one of the government areas, I don't know, pick any one of them, maybe beaches and parks, you think all the contracts went one way, and then you discover, oh my gosh, they seem to have been kind of balanced here in distributing a couple of things. We have to show political maturity, and we have to consult and work in the interests of all Bahamians. It is true that even us, we have to make a determination that some problems are so vexing, so stubborn, that we have an obligation sometimes when we're in power to keep the former minister from the other side on speed dial in order to get clarification on a matter, because it really isn't about him or her and us. It's really about the people that we serve, and we should get the best possible advice to serve them with dignity. FNMs, our jobs are temporary. As a member of parliament, I'm absolutely clear that I signed up for a temporary job. I'm a temp employee. For that reason, with a short 3-week sprint to election, we couldn't reach everybody, so we jumped on the back of a flatbed truck, stopped at every intersection we could find in different communities. We apologize if the music was loud, but it was off the chain. And so we stopped to make the case that we promised you something before 2017, we delivered. And here's our vision for going forward, and we ask humbly, please renew our contract. We're temp employees. That's true in general elections, and that's true within political parties. None of us have an entitlement to lead. And so, for me, running for the lead of this incredible organization, this is not the end-all or be-all. My mission in life is to serve people, to empower them, to be a vehicle for change for them. Politics is a platform, a larger platform from which we can stage deliverance for our people. So whether elected or not elected, devil is a liar, then we will continue to serve the Bahamian people, and to serve this organization that still is the best vehicle to deliver change. I'm offering because I believe that we need leadership up and down the ticket in the Free National Movement that feel the pain and understand the suffering and hurt of our people. That it is not merely an intellectual exercise. It's not a case that I've looked at my resume and I've ticked off everything else I've accomplished, and this is yet another thing to do, politics. We should select people at all levels who have a commitment to the transformation of people's lives. And that's precisely why even in the organization, why even in the run-up to all of these races, that we have to do self-inventory, because certainly we can't be about the business of building a country when we're spending time pulling each other down. We have an opportunity to, in meaningful ways, touch people's lives. And we don't have to wait until 2026 to make a difference in the communities that we represent. In 39 constituencies right now, we can begin the work of redemption, the work of touching people where they are. Because a food voucher for the next 5 years, as we consistently help people, will touch a family. Referring them through a job bank to a work that they would be able to earn money so they don't really need us to give them social assistance, that will make a difference in somebody's life. We could do that over the course of the next 5 years. When people are hurting in the aftermath of a debt, we could stand in the gap and grieve with them, pray for them, help lighten their burden right now. In the inner city communities that lack green spaces and parks, we can construct them right now. So we don't have to wait. I think the Bible talks about the master being touched with our infirmities. Here's the final point on this. The reason we need to select leaders up and down the ticket who care about people and feel their pain, can identify with the pain, is because it is out of that kind of emotional intelligence, out of that heart flows legislation, policies, and programs. So if somebody's only intellectually engaged, you know what the public says? I hear them. But those that are tuned in, they say, I feel them. We need the big ticket items to touch the masses of people. That flows out of an understanding that the masses have ailments that need to be solved, and we have been hired to address the big issues. Incremental change is important. Many times that's all you would get with some issues, but really, is that going to wake you up in the morning? Are you going to commit yourself every day to simply making these marginal steps when the country is asking us to do something more? It's one thing. It's one thing for us to make available, and we did an incredible job providing the largest amount of money for small and medium-sized businesses in the history of the Bahamas. We did the same thing in agriculture, the largest amount of funding. And we should be proud of what we have accomplished. But in Grand Bahama and Abaco, one of the challenges we have is we need greater critical mass. We need a larger population to help sustain the businesses that are being established. Of course, there are businesses that can be established that can earn foreign revenue without the customers being onshore. But the truth is we need to grow the population. So the discussion in Grand Bahama and in Abaco people are concerned about is how are we going to introduce immigration policies that allow us in a sensible way to determine where we get workers from in order to do the work that many Bahamians don't want to do, but to ensure that they come on our terms and leave when required to leave. How do we bring in people, whether it's at the bottom or at the top, but to make sure Bahamians are not disenfranchised while we're doing it? These are the discussions people are interested in. We need leadership that listens and is responsive to the input from its members. Listen, in the House of Assembly, 39 cannot be consistently correct on behalf of 450,000 all the time. And I know in politics, when we get elected, all of a sudden we are transformed into geniuses. We have the answers for all things. And many times, and I don't mean not to play team ball on those occasions, but many times, you don't bomb the desk. You don't get all excited, because sometimes we are clapping for having solved the problem that we only created ourselves a few years earlier. And the public sees the play. They ain't fooled. And so we have to listen to our people. We have to take the time to listen. Even the fellow who's inebriated, and I ain't talking but no rattler, even a 2% fellow, they take. Even the fellow who is under the influence sometimes is lucid enough to say something that is beneficial to the proposition that we are considering. We have to listen. And listen not with an air to construct an argument to respond, but listen with a view of making a difference based on what's said. Because sometimes foot soldiers tell you, 5 out of 6 young people I spoke to said that last thing you announced, but it ain't making sense. And if you don't listen to the foot soldier or the general, when that general thing come around, we get what we get. We have to listen. I remember, and I asked Marco City to forgive me for telling this story, but one time they gave me some advice. I say, boy, listen, we're going up against plenty money. I'm concerned. And they say, please tell me who exactly you are concerned about. And they gave me some good advice. They said, oh no, don't worry about that one. That one got a big check. No, they have an overdue bill. I don't think that check ain't gonna make it to the road. That ain't gonna affect your election. You have to listen. We have some teams right in this room who have carried multiple candidates and delivered them successfully. Some you win, some you lose. And so as candidates, we have to be aware of this fact and listen to them, because sometimes we may come in believing that we have the answer. Because somebody has plucked us out of the private sector and delivered us to a group, and sometimes you get the sense that you're more special than you are. And so, at the end of the day, those that have weathered the storm, who understand how things run, they are not working as enthusiastically as they have in the past, just because we haven't listened. The team I work with, they tell you slow your roll quick. We got something to say. And so I have learned to follow their guidance, because they have made sense. They've made sense with Norris Bain before me, and Shivago before him, and David Thompson before him, and some who in the room, they walk with successor. So woe, who is me to come and not listen? We have to listen. Leadership has to listen. Leadership must put the people and the country before personal interests. We have to send a clear message that every one of us who come into this, we know what our salary was going to be before we come in. To get in and start complaining about the salary ain't making sense. We knew for 5 years, this is what it's going to be. Even prior to Dorian, the Bahamian economy was growing in a sluggish manner. We were not growing at the percentage required to address much of the recurring expenses, as well as the capital works that we projected we would do in the next budget cycle. We already had challenges, but nevertheless, we enjoy a quality of life that's made us the envy of many in the region and internationally. And then came Dorian, a $3.4 billion hit, taking out 2 of the 3 productive centers in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Abaco and Grand Bahama. And many of our brothers and sisters lost things that they had taken a few generations to accumulate. Wealth wiped out. Our productive capacity diminished. The economy contracted. And while we were seeking to recover, we then were faced with COVID. And we're still in the midst of it. Another $3.4+ billion hit on our economy, a small country. I hear the other side are finally talking about this twin tragedies and the impact on the national economy. But when in opposition, they seem to have been challenged in acknowledging the impact on our economy. Life is interesting. And so we face these challenges, and what those challenges have shown us is how fragile life is. We've lost some people we love. And we have many families that are still grieving, who need us, who work in those constituencies, and who are clinically trained or spirit-filled, who can reach out as a part of that healing process for them. It makes a difference. Sometimes we're busy doing hard politics and we don't really appreciate that some of the other things we can do can lift people's spirit, and they could probably see us clearer, and they could hear what we're saying even clearer. And so Dorian and COVID exposed the vulnerabilities in our system. It exposed the processes, the ecosystem, the infrastructure that we have not fixed. It is unacceptable that if you go to PMH and you see the space in which our loved ones must be treated. Listen, I'm not naive about politics. I'm just saying that that one is bigger than any one administration. We have to find sensible conversations across party lines to address something so fundamental as healthcare in this country. Because in the last moments of our relatives and our friends and our neighbors, in their last moments, it's only a few who are still thinking about, you can bury me in yellow or bury me in red. But most are thinking about their eternal destination. They're thinking about, what could I possibly do or someone else can do that can prolong this life, that I can hold my child again, spend time with my loved one again. We have got to fix this system. And so I'm asking you, as you join this movement, let us be relentless in pressing for more. I've heard us call for calm and patience. Be patient. We have time. Yeah, those of us who eaten have time. The people who hungry don't. Those of us who have shelter have time. But the person who had to move from through Gladstone Terrace and then move in another place in Mayfield Park and then moved on Fort Bishop because month after month they are unable to pay the rent. They don't have time. For those of us that are in the public service, who have a secure job, even if we say the money's small, those folks who we serve, those folks who have the potential to make it rain for the country, they don't have time. And so we have an opportunity tonight to decide, despite our personal hurts, our group hurt, that we are going to rededicate ourselves to transforming this country. And the question the public is asking is, we have to spend time in our work groups when these elections are over in November and in February, in meaningful conclaves where we strategize on shadowing different ministries so that we are in a position to offer constructive criticism of policies, legislation, and programs being proposed by this government. We want to give our best ideas. We do not want to behave like them, where they sought in opposition to increase the misery index in the minds of the public. Anything that was going wrong, they just simply slip a conjunction in there and connected it to our governance. We shouldn't be in the business of taking unrelated things and making it the responsibility of government, because I assure you, by the grace of God, we'll be back there faced with the same set of contradictions. So we need to form our working groups, to shadow every ministry, to give constructive feedback, to make sure that they're fulfilling the commitments made. And we have to be prepared to stand up and to fight. In a figurative sense, we have to stand up and say, listen, every contract that they've canceled for you, send it to us so that we can get attorneys to look at it to see whether or not what they are saying or doing is correct. One way to fight certainly is to talk on social media. That's important. Create awareness. But I'm calling FNM attorneys, right-thinking attorneys in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Let us make sure that persons' rights are not trampled upon for petty politics. Stand with us. And so as we move forward, we're saying it's important for us to be united. There's some in the room who've walked with Sir Cecil, still love him, call themselves Cecilites. We have some who have supported the deliverance campaign that ushered in a new dispensation under former Prime Minister Ingram, a new dispensation in Bahamian politics. And there are some who love Tommy because in the most difficult period, Tommy held this organization together. And we remember Kendall Isaacs and Mr. Boswick, And then, of course, when folks felt there was no coming back for us, there came a young man from Pintard, Hubert Minnis. And once again, we became the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And some new people came with Dr. Minnis. The point is, we regularly need to refresh the organization, embracing the new without alienating the veterans. Not only can we coexist, we must coexist. So it really doesn't matter if you were pre-92 F&M or post-92. It didn't matter if you came from a neutral place, an independent voter, or you were PLP before. You with us now, you still family. We are embracing all of those who wish to cast their lot with us. We're welcoming you back home. And for those of you that are in a house and you're uncomfortable, we just want to let you know we have room in the inn. We need leadership that can handle a difference of opinion. It's a wonderful thing to be in a room with a bunch of smart people. And it's always good to have some folks in the room much smarter than you. If I was all that we had to rely on, and if all that I knew, that knowledge, was a matter of life and death in every area of my life, I wasn't going to make it. But there are some people in different areas of our lives who help to make us complete, or at least better. In a political organization, there are diverging points of view. In fact, this is forgive me, but this is an ego business for a lot of folks. It's a lot of testosterone in the room. That's why we need more women in leadership in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And so many times, people are getting in fierce arguments, not over deep ideological issues, not over issues that determine whether somebody lives or dies, can feed their family or they can eat, but about procedures and processes. Many of the arguments in the House of Assembly is about minutiae. It is not about the hundreds of people in Grand Bahama right now who are without light, or those in New Providence. And so we have to be careful. We have to be careful that the public can clearly see and hear that when we are animated and agitated, it is on their behalf that we are. We need leadership that must be able to handle the difference of opinion, and there are many in the Free National Movement. When I was chairman of this organization and I organized the campaign for our leader, I made sure in the council of the Free National Movement that others who did not support Dr. Minnis, that they had a say, that they weren't bullied, they weren't shouted down where their voices couldn't be heard, because we love that difference of opinion. That is what when we go in council, it's like a crucible where we are forging something quite amazing. And so we should be open to difference of opinion. No love lost. We just didn't see it the same way on Monday, but maybe Tuesday, hook me up. I feel you then. It does not matter whether you're pre-92 or post-92. We love you, we value you, and we need you. And so I sent out a clarion call for those that supported Cecil. And if you're not with us right now, we'd love to have you. We need you. For those that support Prime Ministers Ingram and Minnis and Tommy Turnquest and Kendall Isaacs, those who supported Loretta, we need you. We want you. You are a part of our family. If you're left on your own, or you felt as if you were pushed out, I'm telling you, we need you. We are weaker without you. Everybody who leaves carry this sphere of influence with them. And so tonight, I'm offering myself for leadership because I believe that our organization should be a meritocracy. In other words, people's talent should determine on whether or not they are going to achieve greatness, and not because they are attached in relationship to somebody with power. Loyalty is important because in politics, if you don't have loyalty, you may be short-lived. However, loyalty should not be the most important core value, because loyalty and incompetence is a problem. We want to make sure that we build a country where merit, where talent matters, where hard work matters, and it pays off. We want to make sure that we shake up the status quo. There is no one who has a divine right to lead in any constituency or any political organization. Every mother, according to one of our former leaders, says every mother is born a child that could lead. At the association level, at the party level. I'm offering myself because I believe that we need teamwork. Teamwork simply means that some days, all the oxygen in the room shouldn't flow to the top because some other people in the middle and down to the bottom may suffocate. That every click of the camera should try to span the room, because there's some other people that folks need to see and hear. There's some folks who could make a case that I could never make. So when you start talking about the economy of the Bahamas, I heard Dionisio break it down. It was just so powerful. I thought we should have chopped that speech up in pieces and push it out on the airways, because he made a compelling case. And as I listened to the present Minister of Tourism, who is eloquent and a talented Bahamian, the truth of the matter is much of the narrative, you could just switch Dio in place and it's the same speech. We missed an opportunity to highlight so many parts of this incredible team. So many gifted women in this organization. So many talented women. So many beautiful women. And the camera was panning too much to the right sometimes and too much to the left, or maybe it was stuck on center. So some folks who should have been heard, who should have been heard, were not heard. We have some young people. Some young people, a 17, 18, 19, 25, 31-year-old saying what I'm saying will be infinitely more powerful. We have some powerful young people in this organization. And we needed to shine some more light on them, feed them some extra oxygen. Because those persons who were out there, who were saying, Pintard, everything cool, but me, that ain't making sense, would have listened to them. I'm asking you, torchbearers, I'm asking you to be righteously restless. Don't accept the status quo. Some days we are not right. And because you're biding your time, because you're hoping for a nomination later, and you don't want to rub so-and-so the wrong way. You don't want to misspeak. Because nomination day coming 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And so we're going into rooms where important meetings are being held. And the real us are not showing up. Instead, we are censoring ourselves to give a sanitized version of the idea that God has planted in us. Because we believe some people can't handle what we're about to say. And there are repercussions if they can't. And all I'm saying, if you would have me, I want to be the kind of leader that want the best ideas, even if it's inelegantly delivered, even if you're hot under the collar one day, because we could fix that later. It's important that you show up with your best ideas, because it is not about the Free National Movement. It is about the people we serve. And if the idea is weak and lackluster, if it is too small and can't reach enough people, we are not serving our purpose. Speak truth to power. God will take care of your nomination later on. I know but that. As we move forward, we have to be united. I'm running for leader, not because I want to join any camps. I'm not testing to see or conducting some sort of survey, a reconnaissance mission to determine which is larger, which one serves my political interests best. I'm not seeking to join a camp. I wish to join the camps together. That's what we should be about in the Free National Movement. We have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to do something different, fundamentally different. Somebody said distinctly different. Let's turn to each other instead of on each other. I'm a part of this organization because, well, there are too many reasons and we run out of time, but let me just say one of the reasons is I appreciate the culture of the FNM. I don't demonize PLPs. They came with us in 2017 in Marco City, and we won every polling division. And even when some of our folks stayed home in 2021, many of them stayed with us, and we won every polling division again. I don't demonize Bahamians. Good people are in all political parties. But I'm in this one. I'm in this one because we don't foster a culture where somebody is going to spend most of their time, well, some bodies are going to spend most of their time calling for a car to be turned in by someone who don't even have a car. Walking in an office, sometimes not even working in the office, and say, hey, you all three, you all still here? I thought you all was gone. You all gone next week. We don't foster the bullying culture. I'm not saying that there isn't the odd one out who behaves contrary to the culture of the Free National Movement, but that is not a culture we foster. We don't foster the culture. And so what we do is we critique the culture. We watch the behavior. I'll talk in the House about some folks we met in place who were employed when we came in last time, and we kept them employed, and now we are seeing the flip side of it. We're here to cure the ailments of our country. I'm running for leader because I believe, based on the men and women that I've worked with in this organization, that there is a genuine love for the Bahamian people. But the truth is, if we are going to cure the ailments, many of them faced by our people, we ourselves need to heal. As we come out of these elections, it's important that we spend more time with each other. Get to know each other. There's more that unite us than divide us. The truth is we need each other. Some of us, when we argue long enough, we find out that our grandparents were first cousins. When we argue or talk long enough, break bread together, we discover that the same coach that we admire actually molded both of our lives. We have something in common to talk about. We could talk about basketball. You know, I used to be exceptional. Precious memories, how they linger. I'm running for leader because, like many of you freedom fighters, I'm fearless. There are some folks who are fearful of losing a job. Some of us going to have to stand up for them. We have to be prepared to circle the wagon to protect some folks. Right now, several key members of our organization are under attack, and folks sometimes appear as if they have reached for the bowl of popcorn and beverage and they're having a watch party. While folks' reputation and lives are being dismantled, we have done it before where we have left soldiers for dead. First, they'll come for them, and later, they'll come for you. And by the way, on the other side, there are some decent folks who will be allies if you stand up. But if you're stoking the fire, if you're saying, y'all ain't deal with that one for us yet, that's a problem. Let us stand with and for each other. Let us cultivate that spirit in this country. The best of us is when we involve and protect the rest of us. And so as I close, I want to say that this is an honor to simply be in the conversation about following in the tradition of great men and women who started and built this organization. We took a solemn oath when we entered frontline politics, all of those of us who've been senators and members of parliament. Tonight, for me, this is a time of renewal. Not just to be the best member of parliament for Marco City, a leader for the Free National Movement, but to be a better human being. Because the truth of the matter is, there are some challenges that our people face that human hands and voice will not solve. God is required. But there are some things that we as gatekeepers, people are relying on us to make a difference in their lives. And all of us who've decided to work frontline, we have to remind ourselves every now and again, the things you do and say does matter. On whether or not some people live or die, whether they eat or don't eat. You don't think it makes a difference when through compulsory acquisition somebody's home is taken while a road is being pushed through? And years later, the family has never been compensated? You don't think it makes a difference when a supermarket closes down and people didn't get their just reward? And many died waiting? While some people who manage the matter eat, and the rest of them are borrowing money, are asking for alms. It makes a difference what we do or fail to do. As simple as a road not being paved, for me to go and talk to constituents who say, Pintard, my power bill is high, I have to close my window from the dust. My child has respiratory problems because dust keeps getting kicked up. My car is being broken up multiple times and I am unable to get to work, and you believe that joker released me? There are real implications for the failure of municipal governments, in the case of the port, or central government, in the case of us, or developers who sell homes and refuse to take care of the infrastructure, and us as the gatekeepers refuse to hold them to account. There are implications for when we fail to act, or even when we act slowly. And so tonight, I rededicate myself to the assignment to work tirelessly with you and on your behalf and the people that we serve. I'm not coming telling you that I am a perfect man, but what I am telling you is I am a relentless man who will work diligently on your behalf. And I will work daily to make sure that I am not a liability to you. And unlike so many before, anytime I believe that there is a better option, I have no fantasies about holding any particular position. I welcome better options to serve the people that I love. Whatever God has for me to do as an assignment, I'm prepared to do it. Just tonight, I believe it is this assignment. I ask for your vote. I ask for your support on the 27th of November. Elect Michael Pintard as the leader of the Free National Movement.